Hi guys, and welcome to part 3 of our series on the Brahmaviharas, the 4 immeasurables, which we've been looking at over the last few videos, and we've seen that the whole subject of the Brahmaviharas originated in the yogic tradition, but it's very, very popular in the Buddhist tradition. Last time we looked at Metta, or loving kindness, and we looked at the type of meditation that we can develop from that particular Brahmavihara. We looked at how sharing love and affirmations of love and kindness towards others can help us to grow that particular love. This week we'll be looking at the second of the Brahmaviharas, which is called Karuna in Sanskrit, and which translates in English to compassion. Although compassion as an English word really is a tricky one, because there's not really an exact English word that really explains what this particular Brahmavihara, this particular virtue is. As with all of the Brahmaviharas, they are kind of attitudes or skill sets almost, virtues that we develop, which are supposedly godlike virtues. Brahmavihara itself means dwelling places of the gods. So, Karuna, or compassion, what is it? Well, first of all, I would start by explaining to you that we've got 3 English words which get rather confused with each other. We've got the word sympathy, we've got the word empathy, and we've got the word compassion. And often these 3 words are bandied around and almost sort of interchangeably at times. But I want to explain to you the difference between them. And I would start by sort of setting a scene and making a sort of a bit of an analogy, if you like, a bit of a... If I can just get you to kind of visualise a scene at the accident and emergency, or the emergency room, if that's the terminology that you would use in a hospital. So imagine you're in the hospital. You're in there. You're in the accident and emergency department, and you've gone in there because you've got some sort of condition which is bothering you. You're in so much discomfort with it, but while you're there, you become aware of another person in there who is in excruciating pain. They're really in a lot of pain, and they're being quite vocal about that. They're really kind of complaining about the pain that they're in. Now, our first reaction to that might be one where we think, oh my goodness, how terrible that this person is going through this pain. I really feel very sorry for them. I really feel, that I feel really sad for them that they're going through that pain. That kind of emotion that we feel there is what we would describe as sympathy. Sympathy, we're sympathising with that person, shall we say. So sympathy isn't karuna. Karuna isn't sympathy. Okay. The second emotion that we might have is, say this person was in tremendous pain with their back. They're really clutching their back in an awful lot of pain. And we remembered a time when we ourselves had a really painful back, an injury to the back, and we remember the kind of pain that we went through. And we actually almost start to feel the sensation of that pain again in our own bodies. We're not really feeling it. That's not really the reason why we're there. That's not really the pain that we're feeling, but we start to almost get into that position. So we're almost putting ourselves in the shoes of that person there, because we remember being in a similar pain ourselves. This is what we might call empathy. We're empathizing with a person. We're saying, oh gosh, yeah, I really feel for you because that's a pain that I felt myself. This is empathy. And empathy is not Karuna, and Karuna is not empathy. So what is Karuna? What is this term compassion? What are we talking about? Well, the word Karuna has the same roots as the word karma in Sanskrit. The two words, karma and Karuna, have the same root. And the word itself denotes an action. It's an action. It's an active word. So karma is actively sort of building up that karma in through our life, through negative and positive actions and circumstances. And Karuna is also an action word. So it's not just something necessarily that we feel. It's something that we actually act upon. So back to our scenario in the hospital. We've witnessed this situation of this person there, they're going through pain, etc. At this point, in comes a nurse, and the nurse goes to the person, the patient, and says what seems to be the problem. They describe the pain that they're in, where it's coming from the back, etc. And the nurse actually does something to help. The nurse gives them some pain medication to help with the pain while they're waiting to be examined by the doctor, etc. So the nurse at this point has actually actively done something to alleviate the suffering of this person. So the nurse in this particular case has shown compassion to the person who's suffering. This is Karuna. It's actually acting on that. It doesn't have to necessarily be a physical act, as in administering some medicine. That's one particular aspect. It could be actually offering up a prayer maybe for someone, or a positive affirmation. Actually sitting and meditating and actually wishing for that person that their pain and suffering would diminish. But certainly the action part is very important in that. So it's not sympathy, it's not empathy, and it's not shared grief. You know, for a person to grieve over something, so it could be a loss, but it could be that they're just suffering in some way. If I share in that suffering with them, and I'm also suffering, that in itself is not Karuna. So say I'm in a position to help somebody in a practical way, like a doctor in a medical situation, and I simply, I become sort of overcome with grief because of this person's suffering. Oh, they're going through such a terrible time. I'm not really helping them in that sense. What that person needs is somebody who's in a position to actually act and actually help. That's not to say that there's anything wrong with feeling in that sense, but in becoming overcome with another person's grief to the point where I'm affected in an emotional state is not really going to help that person. What that person needs is somebody who is able to act and able to come alongside them with strength and to be able to kind of lift them up. So that's basically what it's not. What Karuna actually is, what compassion is, it's actually not a different thing. It's not a completely different thing from Metta or loving kindness. It's actually a development of Metta, of loving kindness, or Maitri as it's known in Sanskrit. So by way of illustration, if we have a three-dimensional shape like this box here, we can see that this face here, if this face represents loving kindness represents the length and the breadth of the loving kindness that we wanted to show to another person. So this covers an area, and we talked about in the last video the fact that in giving out our loving kindness, when we make those affirmations, when we do that metta meditation, that loving kindness meditation, we're actually broadcasting it out. So if you like, north, south, east and west, left, right, forwards, backwards, in this way, we're broadcasting it out to all beings in all places. So we're covering an area as such. What Karuna, what compassion does, is it actually adds another dimension to it, the dimension of compassion. So we've moved from simple area that we covered to volume. We're now looking at the depth, and the depth to which we show the loving kindness to others, how deeply we actually feel that loving kindness towards them, and how we act upon that actually gives us, if you like, this solid three-dimensional shape, which is a representation of what that's like. Now, we can say really that this is tied up a lot with the ego, and I've talked about the ego quite a lot, about the fact that the ego is not the true self. The ego is the false self. It's the part that we build upon in our lives. And obviously this self, we get the word, from the word self, we get the term selfishness. And I think we all understand what selfishness means. It means to be more interested in our own interests than those of others. It means to put ourselves first at all times, even when the needs of another might outweigh our own needs. To be selfish is to put our own needs first. Now, when metta is developed and we start to develop that depth, and we start to develop compassion, the more we develop compassion, the more the self recedes. It's a little bit like, if you can imagine a river that's running downhill and it's eventually running into the sea. All the different tributaries there are running down and running into the sea. When the river reaches the sea, the river loses itself in the sea and it just becomes sea water. It just becomes the sea, the ocean. In the same way, the more we develop compassion, the more our self, with a small s, the more selfishness subsides, and the more the self dissolves, is immersed into the unity of consciousness, and the more we start to become one with everybody else, the more it breaks down the barriers between me and you, us and them, the more we start to see that we are all alike, we are all the same, and there is little difference between us. So how might we go about actually practicing a type of meditation that would encompass this this term Karuna or compassion? Well, it's quite similar to the practice that we looked at for Metta, for loving kindness. But this time, what we would do is we would be looking at individuals who are suffering, because that's what compassion is. It's looking at those who are suffering, those who are in need, those who are having problems, and it's looking at how we can wish for the best for them, wish for their suffering to cease, wish for their life to become easier. So we have in our meditation, similarly to what we did with Metta, we would be wishing thoughts to this person, we would be wishing them that their suffering would diminish and that that their condition would improve. So there's a very nice mudra which accompanies this. So mudra is a traditional hand position that we had. So what we do with this one is we take the left hand and we cup it slightly like this with the fingers together and the thumb at the side, and that's the left hand. So this hand we're holding here is pointing towards us, and we bring the right hand up to it and we place the tips of the fingers of the left hand just at the base of the fingers of the right hand, and we can slightly bring the thumbs together there. So the left hand, if we have this left hand pointing towards us here, this left hand is pointing towards us and the right hand is pointing away from us, because it's very important that we develop compassion towards ourselves. Often the one that we're least likely to be compassionate towards is ourself. But until we can actually be compassionate towards ourselves, we're not going to be able to show true compassion towards others. If we neglect ourselves, then we won't be in a position to be able to help others. And we want to be able to help others in this sense. So we think about ourselves, and we also think about allowing that compassion to go out to others as well. So what we would do is we would, sitting in our meditation posture, comfortable with our spine straight, adopting this mudra with our hands in our lap. So we can either have the hands to the chest like this, near our heart, or we can have them down in our lap. And we would repeat the following. If we start with ourselves first of all, I would say, may I be free from physical suffering. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from emotional suffering. May I live in peace. Now, you may find it more difficult to actually muster the emotion excuse me, of compassion towards yourself and wanting your own suffering to end, because oftentimes we don't have a very high regard for ourselves. Sometimes it's easier to have in mind a person that is very close to us, that we feel a great amount of affection or warmth or love towards. Excuse me. Just have a little sip of water. Just to show you that this is live and not edited. So it might be best to start with that person first. So if there's a person that you feel that way towards, you can name them. You can say, may Mary, say that the person's called Mary, may Mary be free from physical suffering. May Mary be free from mental suffering. May Mary be free from emotional suffering. May Mary be free from, may Mary live in peace. If there's a person who is close to you and you know is suffering in a particular way, whether it's physically, in their physical bodies, or whether it's emotionally or mentally, then it could be a good point at this time to remember that particular person, because this makes it sort of concrete in your mind, and this is the way that we start to develop this sense of compassion. And as I explained before, similarly to loving kindness, it's almost like the layers of an onion. So we're starting at the centre, at the core if you like, which is ourself, and then we're adding on the different layers as you move outwards. As I said, it doesn't really matter. It's personal to you in this respect. You may feel that you want to start with yourself. If you're comfortable to do that, that's okay. To wish yourself to be free from suffering. But if you find it more comfortable to start with another person who's close to you, somebody that you're grateful to, maybe. It could be a person, it could even be a pet. It doesn't really matter, but this is personal to you. After this point, we then start to widen the circle. We start to add another layer on to this. So after this, we would then move to a person that we know, maybe by name, maybe just by face, but somebody that we know, but not that well, not a close friend, not a close relative, but somebody that we know or we are acquainted with to a certain extent. And again, if we know somebody that particularly is going through suffering at the moment, going through a bad time, going through a difficult patch, then we could call them to mind. If we know their name, we can use it. If we don't, we can just picture their face in our mind as we say this. And then in the same way, we would repeat, may they be free from physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering. May they live in peace. After this point, the next step is quite the crucial one and quite the difficult step, possibly. We want to bring to mind somebody who we find difficult, somebody that we have difficulty with, maybe somebody that you don't get along with. I'm not suggesting that he's going to be a mortal enemy, somebody that's caused you, terrible grief and pain in your life. That may be something further down the line that you might want to explore. But at this point in time, we just want to find somebody that we've had difficulty with, that we don't find it easy to get along with, or somebody that maybe we've clashes with us, maybe we've argued with, etc. And in the same way, we extend it to them as well. It doesn't matter if we don't know what particular thing it is that they're suffering from, etc. Because, and this is quite a good one for this reason, because if we know that we have some particular animosity, or they have some sort of animosity towards us, for instance, they have difficulties with us, then that in itself is a cause of suffering to them. Because feeling ill will towards another person causes suffering in itself. That is a form of suffering. So we want to wish them that they may be free from, again, physical, mental, emotional suffering, and that they should live in peace. That's the tough one. Okay, again, we're adding layers on. After this, we can expand it again. Geographically, we can go to maybe our town and our country, maybe the whole world, maybe the whole universe, and may all beings be free from physical suffering, be free from mental suffering, be free from emotional suffering. May all beings live in peace. So you can see that this is a gradual process of expanding outwards, and it's important when we sit down to do this Karuna meditation, it's important that, starting with ourselves, that we start to actually feel that emotion inside of us. It's not just about just repeating by rote this as if it was just sort of some poem or some sort of verse. It's important that we actually feel that emotion. And as I've talked about before, the heart chakra, which is the center of our emotion, and love, where that love and compassion, kindness, etc. comes from. This is really where we want, from that heart space is where we want to release this emotion from. This is where we want to project that. We have all this energy in our bodies that's flowing, as we've looked at before in the chakra system, the Shakti and the Shiva energies, which converge at the point of the heart chakra. And it's from this point outwards, that's where we project that energy in the form of compassion, in the case of Karuna. So that's basically the practice. And as I said, we start with ourselves, we move out to a person that we're close to, and we work on ourselves and we work on that person that's close to us, because these are the strongest connections and the strongest feelings of emotion that we will feel as regards love and compassion. And these are the ones that we really want to strengthen. And when we've got to the point where we really are meaning what we say, when we're making this affirmation, these wishes of freedom from suffering, then once we've built up those sentiments in our heart, then we are able to move to the next level, and we are able to push that energy out and to another layer of this symbolic onion that we've got with these many layers. So we're able to then push it out to the acquaintances next, the people that we know vaguely, and then we're able to push it out to the person that we have difficulty with, and then eventually we're able to push it right out to encompass all beings. And another excellent practice is to practice, as we saw in the previous videos, the Brahmavihara mantra, which is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which means may all beings everywhere be happy and free. This is a great one. This, and for myself, I find that combining this with Karuna meditation, again using our mudra as well at the same time, it's a great way to actually increase this in our hearts. But of course, Karuna doesn't just stop with meditation. It doesn't just stop with the thoughts and feelings in our hearts and the well-wishing. It's very much is a practical thing. And we know there's an awful lot of suffering in the world that's going on at the moment. In fact, there always is. And I can quite categorically say that as long as we have a physical body, we are going to suffer in our lives. As long as we've got a mind with which we can think, we're going to suffer. We're going to put ourselves through mental anguish, which is largely due to dwelling on the past and dwelling on the future. Being mindful, obviously, will reduce that amount of suffering in ourselves. But again, that's a talk for another day, and something that I've looked at before. But while we are in this body, in this mortal existence, having this incarnation of our consciousness in this physical body, there will be times of suffering, and that's common for all beings on this planet and through all time. This has always been the case. So it's something that's common to everybody, and as we go through our lives, as we go through everyday circumstances, the more we actually engage with this emotion and these feelings of compassion, the more likely we are to actually physically react and act in a situation. Maybe we come across somebody and they're suffering, they're going through a difficult time, and we're there on the spot. We may be able to just offer some kind words to them, to come alongside them, to help them. We may physically be able to help them. Just our presence in the situation might be showing them compassion just by actually physically being present. Again, we work on the heart space. We work on also, in this case, our intuition. And we've looked at the third eye chakra and how that's the centre of intuition, the Ajna chakra. So working on these things together, again, the throat chakra, the Vishuddhi chakra, where we're communicating, we're speaking, we're listening to what other people say, and we're speaking those words which are intuitively inspired in ourselves also. These are all ways in which we can show compassion. Maybe just helping somebody, giving them some advice, some guidance. All of these things could come into the category of compassion. Maybe giving some money to a cause that's a worthy cause for other people to help. All of these things are ways of showing compassion to others. So hopefully this makes sense to you. I'd say that that compassion is completely the opposite to, and there's one of the interesting words that I discovered recently, which is a German word which is coming to sort of excuse me, English usage in recent years, is the term Schadenfreude, which literally translates to harm joy. In other words, it's actually a sense of pleasure that a person derives at another person's misfortune. It's a horrible term, and it's quite the opposite. So we want to get ourselves as far away from that, even to the point where it's our enemy, it's a person that we don't like, we don't get along with, they've caused us pain, they've caused us grief. We want to remove ourselves so far from the thought that somebody else's misfortune and trouble, pain or suffering that they're going through. We're not trying to foster emotions of happiness in ourselves at their misfortune. Quite the opposite. What we want to do is we want to be able to be compassionate to them, even if they're a difficult person, even if they're somebody that hurts us. Eventually we want to get to this point where we can actually show love, kindness and compassion, what the Germans would call Freudenfreude, which is joy of joy, being happy when another person is happy, if you like. But we don't want to be happy when they're and they're going through misfortunes and difficult times in their lives. So that's Karuna, that's compassion. Hopefully it's something that you can incorporate into your daily meditation practice, and just asking that those that you see, those in your sphere of existence, are free from pain and suffering. And hopefully that will bring the full volume, the length, the breadth and the depth to what loving kindness actually is. I hope this made sense. If it did, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments, then underneath, if you want to put something in the comments box, I will do my best to answer any comments that are in there. If you have a question to ask, that's fine. If you like this video and you found it helpful, and you want to see some more videos, you want to hear more about different types of meditation, and this series in particular about the Brahmaviharas, then you may wish to subscribe to the channel. I just literally produce these videos as I'm teaching the group of meditators that I meet with each week, and this is by way of building upon what we speak about. So I hope this has helped you, and I look forward to the next video and the next time that I get to speak to you. Until that time, namaskaram.